Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on Make Your Organization Sustainable with Auditor Qualification. Our speaker for today is Mr. Bhagat Singh Gauri. He is a BSI trainer in Six Sigma Process Improvement and Quality Management System. Mr. Bhagat Gauri has over 35 years of experience in operations and leadership roles in public as well as private sectors. He has implemented a number of process improvement projects in India and overseas. Mr. Bhagat is a master black belt in the Lean Sigma, lead auditor in QMS, and BE certified energy manager. He is an alumni of University of Manchester, UK, and IIT BHU. So I'm handing over this webinar to Mr. Bhagat Gauri so that he would be able to enlighten us further and help us in understanding this topic well. Over to you, Mr. Gauri.
Thanks, Prashant. So, good afternoon to all. I, on behalf of BSI, welcome you all in today's webinar on auditor qualifications. Please note this webinar is being recorded, so BSI may use it for marketing and may share with others as knowledge building. As you are aware, this is a muted webinar. So the purpose is to ensure that you hear speakers clearly. So during presentation, if you have any query, please type your questions in the chat box. We will respond to these questions during the course of this webinar. For the benefits of few of you who are not fully aware of BSI, here is a brief on BSI. BSI has expertise in providing auditor training, conducting audits, and much more. In last 12 months, we conducted more than 50,000 auditor training courses. And in last 12 months, more than 2,000, 30,000, sorry, 230,000 audit mandates has been conducted by BSI. So we serve in 193 countries in all the 6 continents. And we have a clientele base more than 84,000. And if you see our clientele list, so around 80% of who all are listed on FTSE, that is London Exchange, 53% a client of Fortune 500, and 81% of Nikkei listed, that's the Japan. So you can see the reach of BSI clientele list. So BSI credential speaks for itself, and you can trust BSI as your training provider. So in next 40 minutes, I will be covering why auditor qualifications and how auditor qualifications can contribute towards organizational sustainability. So then I will give you flavor of contents which are part of auditor qualification modules. These will provide you understanding of important process improvement tools and would hone your skill so that you can effectively audit the improvement process. Then I will detail pathway for auditor qualifications for your continual skill upgrade. We have slotted 15 minutes for question answer, and we will address all your queries. So auditor qualifications provide a learning pathway. You can see the pathway. So during this journey, internal and lead auditors learn new business improvement tools and gain the skill of auditing of process improvement. So the focus is on auditing of process improvement. So this will help to develop delegates' expertise. Successful delegates will be rewarded with badges So pathway includes practitioner and professional. And you can see this type of badge will be provided. Here the badge example shown here is on the right side bottom, lead auditor professional. So one can earn up to 3 standard specific badges. So that will be lead auditor practitioner, lead auditor professional, and lead auditor certified professional. So each step of qualification pathway will be detailed in the latter half of this webinar. Now, one mute question is, why auditor qualification? So the answer of that is because individuals are seeking recognized badges and credentials to prove their ability. They want to promote their skills with their employers, and they are looking for career security and progression by demonstrating that their skills are valuable. At the same time, organizations are looking for more from their auditors than just conformity audits. They want evidence that their staff are competent and skills are benchmarked. Also, organizations want to get the best value from their management system. So you can see that auditor qualification meets the requirements of both individual as well as organization. This auditor qualification hone the skill of auditors so that they have ability to identify opportunity for improvements. And you know that opportunity for improvement is very important for continuous improvement journey. And with this, they can contribute in onward journey of continual improvement and make organization more sustainable. So the emphasis you can see here on the sustainability, on which we will be talking in the subsequent slide. Let's try to understand the organization sustainability. So if you Google, but suppose you go to Google and try to search, so how many present companies will be definitely continuing even after 100 years? 100 years, I'm saying. So you will find a very small list. For organization to be sustainable, so you can see the emphasis, like when we are focusing on sustainability, so we are talking of long inning of the organization. So for organization to be sustainable, it needs to focus on 3 P's. So you may say 3 P's or 3 E's. So I have taken 3 P's. So this is a profit, people, and planet. So what it means is, so along with profitability, the organization need to focus on their employees' well-being so that they remain engaged, and also taking care of environment. So in this context of organization sustainability, one very apt example is of Tata Group, so that you have a good understanding and you can correlate the sustainability part. So the Tata Group, along with the profitability, it focuses on people, that's employees' welfare and engagements. And we have seen that as per media news, during this COVID pandemic, not a single person of Tata Group was laid off or any salary got deducted. And we know that a Tata Group focuses a lot on environment, that's on the planet side, which is paramount for them. And this auditor qualification, which we are talking, contributes to organization's continual improvement journey. And this continual improvement journey impacts, if you see in this slide on the left side, the bottom part, triple bottom line. So it impacts triple bottom line. So we all understand that when we refer to company's bottom line, we are referring to its profitability. All the time we talk, it will impact the bottom line. But you see the emphasis on triple bottom line. And the triple bottom line means the positive impact on people and planet along with profitability. So that's the impact of this. And now in next 10 minutes, I will give you flavor of what you will learn in different modules of auditor qualification journey. So before we deep dive into process improvement tools, let's try to understand impact of small improvements. Or let me turn it around. So let's see impact of 0.1% failure. This is a very interesting slide. So in normal life, many times we are very happy with 99% accuracy. But see this slide where 5 examples are given, where even 0.1% failure can create havoc or can have a very large impact. So starting point, like you're saying, we are 99.9%, so only 0.1% failure. So these examples are, all the examples are of 0.1% failure. And these examples are, say, from aviation industries. We have our Mumbai Dabbawala example also, Amazon, and then aviation sector, the bag handling. So let's start with the center one, aviation disaster. So with 0.1% failure, this will lead to 60,000 aeroplane disaster per year. So what will be its impact is like 150 disasters per day globally, 150. So this is a huge, huge number. Then we take example of Mumbai Dabbawala. So many of us must have heard of Mumbai Dabbawala. So with 0.1% failure in their delivery, around 200 lunch boxes will not reach to its respective client. But then we know that on normal days, there's not even one lunch box which gets misplaced. And to just to bring to your knowledge that their process is better than Six Sigma, this Mumbai Dabbawalas. And then suppose we take example of Amazon. We all order items from Amazon. So with 0.1% failure, so the figure here given is a per annum. If you convert it into per day, so 7,000 packages will be lost per day. But we have seen that in day-to-day life because we are ordering from Flipkart, Amazon, everywhere. There are very few instances, rare instances where our packages are lost. Similar examples are given of the bag handling in the aviation sector and the prescription written. What can be the impact of 0.1% failure? So we see here that we cannot be complacent even when we are operating at 99.9% efficiency or accuracy. Hence, we need process improvement all the times. Now, to fully understand continual improvement journey of organization, one of the basic but very important question one need to understand is, what's process improvement? So if you see in your slide at the bottom one, the process improvement is a proactive act of improving existing business processes. So this refers to making a process more effective, efficient, and transparent. Every time you improve your company's business processes, you generate crucial benefits for your organization in the form of efficiency gains, cost savings, greater customer loyalty, and profitability. You must be seeing all the benefits, the different benefits which can be accrued from the process improvement. As most of our time goes in problem solving, let's understand the difference between problem solving and continual improvement. You can see in this graph, like one dip, then going up, and then on the right side, continual process improvement. So what's that? In problem solving, you see that what's written there also, something has gone wrong. And we take action to return the process to its previous state. So we have come back. So status quo. Whereas if you see on the right side, where my cursor I have brought, in continual improvement, although the process is behaving normally, which may be okay for some, but we want to make it better. So our focus should always be on the process improvement. So I request Mr. Prashant for the poll, please.
Thank you, Mr. Gauri. We are just launching the poll. Just give me a minute. Okay. Everyone can see a poll which has been requested by Mr. Gauri. It's just a quick thing. You have to rate your knowledge of process improvement tools on scale of 1 to 10. 1 is very low and 10 is very good. So may I request if you can help us in taking up this poll so that it will be fruitful for Mr. Gauri to take the webinar further. Okay, so we are just closing the poll in next 5 seconds. May I request everyone to do it? Okay, so I'm closing the poll as of now. And as far as result is concerned, we think that most of the people think that their knowledge on process improvement is quite good, which is means 41% people think that they are on the average. 35% people think that is between 7 to 9. So thank you for sharing it, and I'm handing it over to Mr. Gauri to enlighten us further or take it further with the current webinar.
Thanks, Prashant. So what are the different process approaches? So different approach of the process improvements are, so reactive problem solving. So like as an auditor, we know, so we take corrective actions when non-conformity is raised. Then the second approach is team-based incremental process improvement, on which we will be focusing. And the lean part is a very important one, which we will be discussing in the subsequent slides. And then we have formal process improvement projects. All these are covered in BSI qualifications, practitioner and professional modules. And as many of you who would have attended earlier our training programs, so BSI accelerated learning approach focuses on both knowledge and skill. So your learning will be through activity-based, delegate-centered approach, which results in enhanced retention of learning. So now I will give flavor of contents which are part of auditor qualification modules. So I will start with lean approach. As the name suggests, lean focuses on eliminating fats in the process. That is eliminating all types of waste. So this is similar to our body. So wherein we all work towards remaining lean. So by cutting down on our fats. So most of us work on remaining lean. So we will touch upon this. So to start with, there are 5 principles of lean. The first principle says specify value. So how we should specify? So it says define value from the customer's perspective. So what it says, the worth placed on something by the customer. To understand it, let's take one example so that we will have a clarity on this. Let's take say cracker price, a firecracker. So now in Diwali, we would be ready to pay higher prices for crackers. But once the Diwali is over, say a few months down the line, say in the month of January, we will not be willing to pay even the MRP prices. So it's the customer which finally decides the value of any product. And we can extend this example to different models of iPhone. So we have seen the prices of the iPhone, how it comes down. So main is the price of anything is what the customer would be paid. So it will be decided by the customer. So customer is the king. Another, coming back to lean principle is, and this is a very important part of this, where it talks of a value stream. And in next few minutes, what I will be talking. So these are the things, maybe your takeaway, which you can immediately go back and apply in your organizations. So what it says is the second principles, identify the value stream. So all the component activities which are needed to take a product from customer request to a complete delivery. So in most processes, not all the steps are seen to add value from the end customer perspective. So let me try to explain it. Suppose we take example of CCD or Starbucks, where you order for coffee. So for making the coffee, the process to be followed by the barista means with the coffee maker. The different steps are, so put coffee beans and grind it. Then he would prepare the coffee shot, that's passing hot water into coffee powder. And then the third one step is take milk in a mug, and the steam is purged into it. And then finally, this hot milk is added into coffee shot, and coffee is ready. So these are the steps which need to be done. So these will be falling under the category of value stream. Now, in between, suppose there is but during this process of coffee making, if the person goes for washing cups, suppose the clean cups are not there. So in between, the person is going for washing the cup. So then this activity of washing cup is not part of value stream. So that's a non-value added activity. Or the other example of non-value added is if person goes to bring milk from fridge, that should have been there. So any activity which is not part of the main process are not part of value stream. And you will understand the impact of it totally when I bring it the third principle, which is flow. What this principle says, the ensure production and service activities flow through the value stream without any delay. So all these movements or the activities we are passing through the value stream will create value for the customer. So when we are standing in the CCD or the Starbucks, whatever the time is lost on the non-value added activity, so we will have to wait there. So from our as customer perspective, that's a non-value added activity. So if you go back to your organization and walk through the different steps of the process, you can see that there would be many activities which are non adding value from the customer perspective. This principle, what it says is use pull scheduling. That the product or services are provided only when the customer wants it. It means based on the order, the production will be linked. So these lean principles have come from Japanese, where they enforce it, and many of our good organization in India also implementing, because there are so many tools of lean which number of companies are implementing. So the example of pull versus push is, so when we read in the newspaper that many car makers or the bike manufacturers are having high stock of unsold vehicles. It's not only I'm talking about the COVID times, but otherwise also, even before that, they have a high stock. It means they are not following the pull principle. So they are producing, they are trying to utilize the efficiency of the machines. So, but they need to see the carrying cost of that. So, what the lean principle says, instead of push, they need to produce as per the pull from the customer. And then the final, this one is definitely very important one, and from which we will be talking a lot on the different waste. So the fifth principle is perfection. So what it says is strive continuously to eliminate all forms of waste from processes by pursuing perfection. So by perfection, everybody would say, yeah, that's but obvious. But no, it's not just saying that perfection. The important point is what is saying eliminate all forms of waste from processes. And we will discuss in depth what we mean by different type of waste is. So lean principle is used to identify non-value added activities which are waste, which we'll be discussing in subsequent slide also. This last principle is very useful, and definitely we can use on day-to-day basis to identify waste and taking actions to eliminate or reduce this. And in subsequent slide, there are 8 type of waste which I will be discussing with you. And if you can see the 8 waste is Tim Woods. That's the acronym for it. And it's easy to remember, very easy to remember. In fact, what I would request, if you write down once, you will never forget. And many of you might be knowing this also. And I will be just describing this one by one and giving a small example so that for the benefit of all, you understand this particular part. If you understand and start applying this, the identifying 8 waste and reducing. So for the benefit of those who are not aware of this, please pay attention on this. So first waste is transportation. And I will give an example also so that you have a good understanding. You can see that we are not talking only of defects, the waste rejection. So which is the obvious one. So there are 8 ways. So starting with the transportation. So Tim Woods T we are talking. So transportation waste is on account of excess movement of materials. This may be because of poor layout of workplace. To understand this as waste, suppose we take one example in a small organization of metal forming. So wherein a part is produced after passing, say, through 6 machines. And manual operations are done at each machine. And suppose 3 machines are at ground floor and 3 are at first floor. So 3 are at ground floor, 3 at the first floor. So what will happen that the parts are moving sequentially. So after third step, total material need to be transported to first floor. You understand? So whole thing need to be transported. So definitely this will involve cost and time, and ultimately this will be loaded to customer because it will be adding to the cost of production, COP. And this is the waste under the category of transportation. And by modifying the layout, this waste can be reduced, because we have seen that there are a lot of competition. And this particular waste, if it's impacting your COP, cost of production, once you understand this, you can address it. This can't be eliminated, but what we are saying, how to reduce it, how to reduce the impact of this. Next waste, inventory. There's a very interesting one because there's a debatable one also. But once you understand, you will start appreciating it as a waste. Okay, so this is holding excess stock of. We know that raw material inventory would constitute of raw material, WIP, that's a working process, and finished product combined together. So starting point to understand inventory as waste, organization need to record all type of inventory in terms of rupees. So that's a very mute and important point. Many of the organizations, they record this in terms of the quantity of the tonnage. So that will make a huge difference, and you will appreciate this once I give you this example. So suppose they have a 50 ton of steel inventory, then in an Excel file, then they, along with the tonnage, organization need to write say rupees 25 lakhs, assuming price of this particular steel rupee 50,000 per ton. We are assuming that. So against the tonnage or the number, they need to write the rupees also. And then suppose we assume that optimum inventory for this organization, this particular organization, which we have taken in the example, is rupees 5 crore. And optimum is 5 crore, and actual they are holding rupees 10 crore inventory. And you will find that this will be a scenario in many of the organization. Now let's try to see the impact of this. So excess inventory worth is rupees 5 crore. So carrying cost of this inventory, so even if we take a 10% interest rate, is rupees 50 lakhs. So company is losing rupees 50 lakhs per annum on account of this excess inventory. And the worst part is they don't realize this. But once the organization understands, of course through you, that uncontrolled inventory is one of the waste, then obviously it gets focused, and you can understand the impact. So it will directly get added to the bottom line of the organization. Now coming to the motion waste relates to excess motion of employees. So this is, you can understand the finer difference between transportation and motion. In transportation, we are talking of the material movement. In the motion, we are talking of the employees movement, and maybe for searching parts, tools, and we know that the time will be lost, would impact the productivity. And this type of waste is one of the major waste in a small organization. And many of you, you can guess that this waste can be reduced by properly implementing 5S. 5S, that's one of the tools of Lean. And with the 5S implemented, this motion of waste can be reduced and minimized. Fourth waste of the Tim Woods, if we say the W, waiting. And it's easy to understand also. So example in say production unit of waiting would be a materials waiting between two machines. In the second machine is waiting yet to be processed. This impacts, you can guess that would impact the cycle time of production and would increase the lead time. And this will definitely increase the overall cost of production and delivery schedule. So that's the impact of waiting. And if you see in the different organization, this particular waste you can identify, you will find in all organization. Overproduction is very obvious one, and it's kept separately for inventory also, because we initially in the previous slide we talked about push and pull. So it's kept as a separately as a different waste, not merged with the inventory, although part of this will definitely go there. And so anything producing more than the customer demand would fall under this particular waste. And we can easily understand, of course, the impact of it in terms of carrying cost. Another one is over processing. So this is slightly dicey to understand, but let's say suppose we go back to the example of CCD or Starbucks, where we were talking having the coffee. So one of the examples of over processing can be, say, while making coffee, steaming milk for too long. So okay, and then maybe overheating pastries and patties, overheating, and definitely that will be too hot for customer. But we look from the waste perspective. So over processing would add to cost of production to COP, definitely, as it consumes extra energy and the human efforts. So this also, and it's a slightly takes time to sink into us in the over processing as waste. But once you understand, you can definitely contribute in the organization continual improvement journey. Defects, we all understand. There's a definitely easy to understand, but the impact, if the defective product has been delivered to customer, then we can understand its implications. So definitely there's one thing definitely everybody focuses. The last one, see, if you Google, so many times you will find that there are 7 waste are listed. In fact, this the 8th waste, the skill unutilized, is added in early 2000 by the Womack, who has written the book on lean thinking. And this particular is very, I personally feel that the impact of this particular waste on the organization can be very substantial. Or the other way around, if this is taken care of, so this can add to substantially to the bottom line of the organization. And basically how its waste is, how to define it. This is the unused employee creativity, skill or ability. So like we know that God has given good mind to each person. And in an organization, like all the operators, technicians, supervisor, like they would be having very good knowledge and expertise of their areas. And they are the best person to give suggestions for improvement. But what happens that in normal course, they will not come forward and give suggestions, especially the operators who are working by their hand. So that's why good organizations have suggestions or Kaizen scheme in place to harness the creativity of all employees. So many of in your organization, you must be having this suggestion or Kaizen scheme. So in that one, once the suggestions given by employees is implemented, then part of saving is shared with employees. Like many good organizations, they do like that. And this way, both employee and organizations gain. Both will gain because uh, as given by the suggestion, the organization has gained benefit, and a part of that, maybe 5%, 7%, whatever, if they are sharing with the employees, even then the lot of benefit will be accruing to the organization. And I know many of the organizations, so this Kaizen, this contribute a few crore rupees to its bottom line. So that's the impact of that. Now, we are coming on the formal process improvement tools. So there are a number of process improvement tools which are very useful in continual improvement. So these are detailed in our qualification modules. And along with these, in process improvement auditor module, a number of activities are done by delegates as part of training course. And these activities help delegates to learn auditing skill. So there's a focus on the auditing skill of process improvement processes. So we know that, so BSA, all the courses are designed, they focus on knowledge as well as that skill. So the delegates would learn the auditing skill with a focus on process improvement processes. And during these different modules, so these are the 7 basic tools. Many of you must be aware of this. So these are one of the small part of our modules also. And we know that, see, if you see the check sheet and Pareto, these are very robust tool. They are there for years and years, but they are the backbone and very good for starting. And these two help us to identify and scope improvement opportunity. These 3 basic tools, flowchart, histogram, control chart, like they help us to understand the process and quantify performance. And these two, cause and effect, we also call it Ishikawa or the fishbone. By any name you can call this one, because it's like a fishbone and a scatter diagram. So they help us identify root causes and relationships between inputs and outputs. So I'm not going into detail into this. So these are part of our, again, this 8D. This one is detailed systematically in our course modules. So these are 8 steps, and by using this step by step, say starting from the first step where we define the problem, and immediately then to contain it, the interim action is taken, the number 2. And systematically, the third step says, I'm just giving the one-liner. I'm not going into detail at this juncture, just to give a flavor that these are detailed in our course module, and how the fourth step, determining the root cause, the different tools are used to determine the root cause. And the fifth step, to evaluate possible solutions. And definitely based on that action plan, step 6. And then verify the results, step 7. And if it's perfectly fine, then standardize, make SOP, or if more is required, so what future action need to be taken. And in this, our course module, number of activities based from the perspective of the auditing skill on this 8D has been built in. So this will be very interesting, and you will have a good takeaways. We all are aware of PDCA, and one of the interesting thing is, like in this course module, in the PDCA, there are some, like we know that in the different stages of PDCA, how the 7 basic tools and 8D can be used. So those detailing you would love when you will be going through those courses. And one of the important thing, definitely you would be knowing that PDCA cycle is not just once, and this cycle keeps repeating to ensure continual improvement. And as an auditor, we all know that all ISO standards are based on our PDCA approach. So Mr. Prashant, for the poll, please.
Thank you, Mr. Bhagat. So I'm just launching the second question, which is how important is continual improvement journey for your organization? This is again, we are request you to fill in between the scale of 1 to 10, being 1 is the least and 10 is very important. May I request everyone to fill in, please, because still we can see 18% of people have not voted. We are closing this poll in next 5 seconds. Okay, so we have a result. 86% people have responded to this poll. Out of that, 76% people think that process improvement is very important for an organization, while 24% people think that it is important.
Thanks, Prashant. So I'm continuing. Okay, so I request all to now pay attention. So now in next 10 minutes, a very interesting part is coming. So all the time we are talking of your auditor qualifications pathway. So I'm going to detail that. You would have a very good clarity. The starting thing is the auditor qualification is the same for all management system standards. I'm repeating that. This is the same for all management system standards. Okay. And there are 3 levels, which you can see like on internal auditor as well as lead auditor, which I will be detailing in subsequent slides. So we have a practitioner, and the second one is professional and certified professional. You would have a good clarity in next 5 minutes. What does it mean when we go into the detail into this? Okay, this one is interesting. So we will try to see. We start, if you can see my cursor. So we have a 2 slides of the pathway. We are taking this one is on internal auditor. So how this pathway moves is, so basically if you see in the 3 steps, you can be certified by BSA, PSI as the business improvement expert. So in the 3 steps, so I will just try to explain that, how you can be certified by BSI as the business improvement expert is. If you see on the left side where the requirement is written, okay, there's a step 1. So basically what is this understanding the respective standards requirement and getting qualified by passing the online examination. So you don't have to take any course for this. There is no like all the standard requirements. So if you are aware, definitely you all would be aware of the requirements. So this auditor qualification pathway starts with that. You will have to take up online examination for this requirements, and that's the objective type online questions. There's a step 1. Once you have cleared that, then step 2, taking up internal auditor course and online exam. So let's try to understand that this example is for the persons starting from scratch, like you are neither internal auditor nor lead auditor at this juncture. Okay. So I'm just repeating, this particular step will be if we are starting from scratch. If you're already internal auditor, then if you are already, I'm repeating, internal auditor by any certification body, we are talking about IRCA courses, then this step will not be required. So you can see this impact. So I'm just bringing in this one. So if you are already internal auditor, so after requirement, you will go to, you can see the arrow, and then you need to take up process improvement introduction. This one is 1-day course, and then subsequently online examination. And on successful completion, you will get a certificate and a badge shown here. You can see on the left side bottom is written internal auditor practitioner, right? Once you have this, then the fourth step is, and now we are coming to this one. If you can see my cursor, just above this professional, to take up process improvement auditor. So this is a 2-day course, very interactive, lot of activities are there. So your auditing skill with respect to auditing process improvement would be honed. And this is a 2-day course and subsequently online examination. So on successful completion, you will get a certificate and badge as shown here. So internal auditor, a professional. And then the final stage is like this optional one. It's a final stage for those, say, who would like to go the extra mile, is to submit a post-course evidence to become a certified professional auditor. And the badge is this one on the right side, bottom one. And definitely, I will explain this in detail after 2 slides, where you would have a very good clarity. So how this certified professional, what you need to, you don't have to do any other course for that. So 2 courses, definitely the 3 requirements are the requirement initially online. That's not a part of course. You just have to appear in the examination. Then to do 1-day training, process improvement introduction, and the 2-day course of the process improvement auditor. And now I'm bringing up a similar slide for the lead auditor. And before I explain on this, just try to understand this process improvement introduction and process improvement auditor courses are the same for the internal auditor as well as the lead auditor. Okay, so if you see in the pathway, again it starts with the requirement which one need to take up online. And once you are through with this, and then if again this particular slide is showing for the raw person who is not lead auditor as of now, then definitely he or she will have to do lead auditor course. But if you are already certified lead auditor by any certification body, definitely we are talking of IRCA courses, then this step will not be required. Okay, so you can see the impact. So you will directly go here where I'm bringing cursor. So you will take up the 1-day process improvement introduction and then the examination online, and you will be given this certificate and the badge of practitioner. And then if you take up this course, with a 2 days course, so you will be getting the lead auditor professional. And finally, the certified professional badge will be given. So for which I will be detailing you what all need to be done. So after these 2. So before I move on, I am just repeating what I have already said, that the requirements you need to take up for the different standards online, and the one need to take up 2 courses, 1-day introduction and 2-day process improvement auditor. Now I will explain what is the benefit of each auditor qualification level. So we are starting with you have got that lead auditor practitioner. So being a practitioner, you can see that it's put up here. It demonstrates that you understand the requirements of the standard, and now after this you can hear that, and different process improvement tools. So you have that understanding. And an internal or lead auditor practitioner is able to successfully carry out a conformity audit to a specific standard, and also with focus on continual improvement journey of organization. So that's the differentiator once you have a lead auditor practitioner. So I have brought up the lead auditor professional, the benefit. So achieving the professional qualification takes you beyond a conformity audit and develops your ability to audit improvement initiatives. So you would have remembered that when I was talking that during the course that auditing is skill, so how you can audit the improvement processes. And definitely this adds extra value to employers and clients, as improvement is a key requirement. We know that it's a key requirement of management system standards, clause 10 we are talking. And then we talked of a certified, the badge you can see. So by having your qualifications certified by BSI, you can demonstrate proven experience of conducting audits. So it will give employers and clients confidence that you are a competent auditor. And see that these badges, these are very important. Like you can use it on your business card, email signature, anywhere. So with the BSI these are the different badges. So you can use in your business card, email. So the benefit of that. Now, which I promised that I would explain when we're talking of a certified professional, you can, on the top right, can you see the logo of the BSI with the kite mark saying the certified professional? So what does it mean is, and how you will get that? So for internal or lead auditor professional, that's you can read also, the process of being certified formally recognizes the ongoing application of the auditing skills within the industry. So BSI is formally recognizing that and certifying. Okay, so becoming certified requires demonstration of application in the workplace, like it can be a 3 years experience or a specified number of audits required. And what you need to do, so if you see the third bullet one, it requires the completion of an application form with evidence of experience. So we are not talking any courses, so you need to fill up application with evidence of experience. Now, the last bullet point is important, like certified status. This remains valid for 3 years. Okay, once you are certified for 3 years, then becoming recertified involves an updated application. Need to again apply, detailing the increased experience and CPD. The CPD is like your continuing professional development gained over the last 3 years. So that you need to do to get and continue with this certified professional. So this particular logo here is shown with the internal auditor. Similar will be for the lead auditor. So the one question comes like, why one should opt for BSI auditor qualification? So you can see that slide is starting with an important question. So if you were looking for a qualification, so what would you look for? Okay, so I'm just bringing part of the BSI only in this particular slide. Like now we are talking auditor qualification. So the BSI 2 important part is, you can see 50,000 auditor training courses a year, huge number, and 200,000 auditor assessment days a year. So that answers who better to provide better than BSI to provide you auditor qualifications. So we are very well placed, competent for that part. So now I conclude here with a message: earn your mark of trust. So I request you earn your mark of trust. Start your journey today and become a BSI certified auditor. Mr. Prashant, for your last poll, please.
Thank you, Mr. Govi. So I'm going to place the last poll before we move to question and answer session. May I request you guys to help us in understanding further on this topic, on what your thought process is all about. So poll is on, and I request everyone to help us in understanding further your requirement. Okay, so we are closing the poll as of now. As far as the result of the poll is concerned, I would like to announce that 53% of the people think that it is important to have an auditor's role in organizational performance. 41% says that it is very important. So I think majority of the thing that auditor plays an important role in improvement of in the improvement journey of an organizational continual process. So thank you for everyone for taking this poll. I'm handing it back to Mr. Gori so that he would be able to help us in providing question and answers. In case if you have any question and answers, you can place it on your question tab, which is right at your tabs.
So now we open this house for question and answer, and thanks, Mr. Prashant.
Okay, there are a few questions which we are receiving it in terms.
Yes.
So we'll try to take it one by one.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Anup Chandra asked, I was a team member of audit team as a technical expert. I was given a great respect by client. So I'm not too sure that what exactly was his question, but I think it was just a session that he was making up. So
I
the
can
next question.
see, yeah, I can see also one question, Prashant. What type of exams are needed to be cleared? Is there one question?
Yes.
See, all these exams are the objective type. So multiple choice questions, so MCQ type. So at all stages, the questions will be objective type. Right?
Okay. The
Okay,
other
Mr.
question is
Prashant,
from Ms.
yes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
The other question is from Ms. Jassim, Mr. Jassim, is that what should a lead auditor do right away after training and certification?
See, what this auditor qualification pathway does is, like it's is equipping you, and you are having a knowledge of process improvement, different tools. That's one part. But then in our second module, where we are talking about process improvement auditor, so the auditing skill, how you can audit the process improvement process of an organization. Like during our discussion, we said that there's a continual improvement journey is very vital for organization, and you would be able to help. Like one is in your organization, definitely, and wherever you go, you can. Like there's a very thin borderline. So when you're making an OFI, you can suggest, like we can't work as a consultant when we are auditor, but definitely we can give them OFI. And if in your organization where the internal auditors are, or even if you are lead auditor in your organization, you can work hand in hand on the continual improvement journey. And with this learning, you will have build a good team and contribute to. And we have seen that how this helps in the organization sustainability, and we have seen what it means for the organization. Yeah. Mr. Prashant, next one.
Okay, there are a few questions from people who want to know that whether we will be giving them PPTs as well as, will there be any certificate for this webinar. So just want to let you know that we will be sharing PPT with you guys, and most probably there will be a video as well as audio that we will be going to share with you after this webinar. And as far as certificate is concerned, we don't provide certificate for the free webinars. Okay. So other question is from Mr. Anup Chandra is process improvement during one of audit in Birla Group. I solved and provided guidance for improvement. During the next audit, they show how the improvement is done. But yes,
Great. Good. So the already utilizing this skill. Yeah, great to know that. Thanks.
okay. Mr. Ankit has asked, dear sir, I am ISO 9K, 14K, 45K certified auditors. I don't have any experience in IT. Can I go for ISO 27K ISMS? Can I make career in ISMS?
Although this is not related directly to this, but definitely what I would request that you can approach our BSI team and relevant person, SME, like Mr. Dheeraj, will be addressing to that. Because this question goes beyond this.
Yeah,
Yes.
Bhagat, is there a question for me? Sorry, I missed it.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Dheeraj. Prashant, can you repeat that for the benefit of Mr. Dheeraj?
Prashant?
Sure. Okay, Ankit wants to know that he is an ISO 14, 9 and 45K certified auditor, and he
Yes.
don't have experience in IT. Can he go forward for ISMS, and can he make his career in ISMS?
Okay, the answer is yes. You will need to look at the controls of information security. So my suggestion is you start from the requirements course, which BSI can deliver for you, which talks about the basic requirements of the standard, which is ISMS, ISO 27001. And then you go into the implementation course. And that should, I think, give you a very good exposure to what all is information security and what controls are to be implemented. Usually, the norm is that the IT people are usually favored for it, but there is no such rule as as such. So as long as you know how to implement the controls, and not all controls are technical. There are so many controls which are structural in nature, organizational controls like policies and processes, which can be easily understood. So the short answer is yes. And as a next step, my suggestion is look for the requirements course of ISMS. It's there on the BSI calendar. And then after the requirements course, attend the implementation course. Then only you should go for lead auditor, etc. I hope that answers your question, please. Back to you, Prashant.
Thanks, Mr. Dheeraj.
Thank you, Dheeraj, for clarification. So I am moving it to the next question. Would you share the details of auditor qualification as explained here? Mr. Ranbatra Bose wants to know.
So, Mr. Prashant, you can answer that.
Yes, we will be, as I've mentioned earlier, that we will be sharing the details, including PPT. You can also find the details on our website of BSI. So this is what I can say. In case if you want something more, so whatever request, I will ask one of our training advisor to get in touch with you and explain the process further.
Yeah, maybe you can write to info.in, Prashant. Maybe you can write to info.in with the query, and we'll definitely get back to him.
Okay. So Jacob wants to know, is there any approach to audit the entire process instead of sample-based audit? Currently, the auditor is doing only sample-based audit.
Mr. Prashant, I would not like to, because this is slightly different from what we are talking at this juncture. So maybe Mr.
Okay.
Dheeraj, would you like to address, or I
Yeah,
don't think
okay.
this is
All
a
I can,
direct.
yeah. So
Yes.
you see, sample-based audit is needed because you can't possibly devote that much time, which you would need to take if you were to look at all the samples. And as experienced auditors, now we've realized that even a representative sample gives us a fairly good level of assurance on the process and a holistic picture. So in our lead auditor courses, what we teach is how to do process audits. That means look at a 360-degree view of the process, so that even if you don't take 100% samples, you get a very good 360-degree picture of how the process is working, whether it is effective or not. And we also emphasize in our courses that don't just look at whether they are conforming to the process. Is the process fit for purpose or not? I think with the process approach that we teach in BSI in terms of our auditing courses, even without taking 100% sample, you get a very good confidence level of the health of the process. So that's an alternative to 100% sampling, the process approach. And we also teach how to ask very, very open-ended questions, which gives a lot of perspective to the auditor based on the answers of the auditee. So I think process approach is a good alternative to 100% sampling. That's my perspective. Prashant, back to you.
Thanks, Dheeraj.
Yeah. Thank you, Dheeraj. Next question is how these auditor qualification different from traditional IRCA certified certification?
Okay, that's a very interesting and very important question. So, see, in this particular qualification pathway, which you would have noticed that this particular is giving a focus on the process improvement, and we are focusing on the continuous improvement journey. So, this particular gives you edge over other auditors with your learning and knowledge with the process improvement tool and the auditing skill, so that you can audit the process improvement processes. So these are not IRCA server like this, the BSI, and that's why we said that this, like, you will not find it at other places with so much of detail. So this gives you extra edge, and then this is providing you the badges and the good badges which you can put up on your business card and then the email signatures also. Over to you, Mr. Prashant.
Thank you, Mr. Gauri. So the next question which people are asking, what is the duration of practitioner certification? I cleared lead auditor QMS certification from BSI India.
Okay, see, to get a practitioner, so two requirements, like one is to take up the requirement online, and there is a one-day course. And after one-day course, one need to take an online examination. So there's the time, like if you take a requirement, say today, and if the course is scheduled, and once you take up that one-day course, and same day you can give the online, and you will be qualified or will get that batch of lead auditor practitioner. So that is the time period. So I will repeat that. For the requirement online, one need to do, and then take up one-day practitioner course to get a batch of a lead auditor practitioner. Over to you, Mr. Prashant.
Thank you, so Mr. Gauri, for giving us clarification. There is other question, which is what is the exact difference between Six Sigma and QMS, other quality certification in a manufacturing process?
Actually, Six Sigma is a different ball game altogether. Like it's one of the robust tool for the process improvement, and these days I like lot of like few points I picked up from the Lean, and many of the courses now they say Lean and Six Sigma. So Six Sigma uh, addresses the variation in the process, and when I was giving example of 0.1% failure, and I gave example of Mumbai Dabbawala. So in the Six Sigma process, the defect level will be 3.4 ppm only. 3.4 part per million. So this will be 99.9999, like that. So Six Sigma is basically a bigger tool of the process improvement. Basically, it addresses the process variations, and where the rejection level targeted is 3.4. Either we call it DPMO, or to understand in the easy term is part per million ppm. Over to you, Mr. Prashant.
Okay, I think this is the last question. We are already, boarded 10 minutes ahead. I'm just asking you the last question. Maybe rest of the question I'll forward it to you, Mr. Gauri. You can, talk to them, or you can mail them one-to-one, right? This
Okay.
is a question which has come from Mr. Anil. He wants to know that I am already IRCA accredited principal auditor for ISMS. Does this qualify me to get BSI certified professional certificate without any additional training?
Like I said, there are 3 requirements if you want to get certified as professional. So one thing we said that, like, if you have done lead auditor from any certification body which is IRCA certified, so that will work. But one need to take, if you will just refer to our auditor qualification pathway, so you will have to start with the requirement, the online examination. And since you want to have that professional, so after clearing that requirement, you will have to take up 1-day process improvement intro course and online examination. And subsequently, you will have to take up a process improvement auditor. That's a 2-day course and online examination. Then you will be getting the lead auditor professional badge or certificate. Hope that satisfies you. That answers. Mr. Prashant, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Gauri. We are already past 13 minutes from our prescribed time, so I think we should close this session now. And any further questions, you can mail us at info.in@bsigroup.com. And the questions we are not able to pick up as of now, we will certainly going to revert. Mr. Gauri is certainly going to get in touch with you guys on this. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone, for
Thanks,
today's
Mr. Prashant.
session.
Thanks to all.
Learning would have happened. Thank you, Mr. Gauri. Thank you, Neeraj, and thank you everyone for coming for this webinar. Anyways, we have next webinar on ISO 27701, which is on privacy management. Those who wish to join, they can register for that, and registration link will be sent to them. Okay, thank you.
Thanks and goodbye.